Okay, so hello Radhika, and there's one more person. Bye. So we can start maybe, and let's see if people join. Then it's fine. And feel free to switch on your camera if you want to make more interactive. That would be cool. And can you hear me both?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. So I would love to know both of you right now. What are you up to these days? Are you working? Are you studying, or what?
I think I can start.
Yes, right.
So my name is Bai. I'm a UX product design freelancer from Taiwan. So right now I'm kind of working on like few freelance kind of project, but my goal is like I want to kind of transition into like my in-house like company as a in-house like a designer kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I had like some interview in the past, and I want to kind of a little bit. I'm not really good at interview kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
and so I like sometimes if I feel too nervous, my brain will be empty, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how can I answer, or like I will get panic even though I have a notes outside.
Yeah.
So I want to kind of a little bit prepare like a practicing a little bit more
Mm.
to feel this is kind of just a nature thing. And so when the time is coming, I won't be too panic. Yeah.
Yeah, got it. So you have a little bit of anxiety and all on the interview, okay?
Yeah.
And awesome. That's good to know what you're studying on, and uh, and also feel free to write down any questions you have. Any of you, feel free to write down any questions you have. So what we're going to do is that I will maybe talk maybe for 30-40 minutes and present something, some structure ideas that you all can use for the interview for to crack the interview, and then at the end we can do a bit of Q&A. So people are still joining in, so I might start in a few more minutes because I want everyone can see the slides and all. And so right now we have around 8-10 people in here. Okay. um
Sure, actually, there was some issue. I think ADP list also generated a meeting link. So there were
okay.
3, 4 of us who were waiting over there. I've shared
Oh,
the link. As of now, there is no one over there.
okay,
So
that's great. Yeah, that's good to know. Okay. Okay, so yeah, it's my first time with the group meetings, so I don't
okay.
aware of that. Okay, and Neeraj, what are you up to these days? Are you studying somewhere or working?
So I was working at InfoEdge, Naukri.com for
Okay,
1.5 years.
okay.
Then I took a career break, decided to go to Everest Base Camp.
Mm-hmm.
So went there, done with the break.
Wow,
I'm trying to get back into the industry. So creating a portfolio for that.
that's amazing. That's wow, such a nice sabbatical on Everest Base Camp. I would love to know maybe after the call details on that.
Sure, sure, sure.
That's really
Sure.
cool. Yeah. So people will keep on joining and I can start. So what I'll do is that I'll just present some screen, talk on that, and whatever you have questions in between, just you can, I mean, either you can mute yourself or ask questions, or if it's something very detailed, if it requires a detailed answer, I will answer at the end. Or it's something which an answer on the way, not so long, then I will take a pause and answer it. Or you can also just put your questions in the chat box here. And yeah, so let me share my screen. I think that would be helpful. And also this call has been recorded because there were some people who can't join, so they wanted to have the recording, so that's why I'm doing that. But yeah, and I'll also share the recording with all of you if you need. Yeah, so okay, yeah, I'm sharing it. Awesome. So is my screen visible?
Yes.
Cool. Let me go back. Okay, so yeah. So the agenda is that I'll just give a bit of an introduction about myself, and then we will talk about the design interview process, and then we will break down each of the steps, and then we will go in depth about the whiteboarding. I think this is the hardest step that most people struggle with. Whiteboarding exercises that you need to go. It's a step. I'll talk more on that, and then lastly we will do Q&A. And just one last thing. Also, the voice and all is good, right? Am I audible, right?
Yeah, sure. Everything is perfect.
Awesome, great. So yeah, just a second. Okay, so a bit of an introduction about myself. So I am doing product design from last 8+ years. My last company I was working was a company called Ninte. I was there a product design manager, and I have done like uh, multiple interviews, 10, 20, 20, 30 plus interviews in the last 5, 6 years. And I also am teaching at few places, design lab. I also taught at Springboard, and I also build things on the side. I also made some guides tutorial that I also share with you. And before my last company, I also have done a bit of freelance work in the past, design consultation. I have worked with startups, early stage, mid stage, so I understand the dynamics of these companies and what they are looking for. I also write a newsletter on design and product. It's a free newsletter, uh, which I'll share the link with you. It's recently the Google Video Design also followed it. I'll share the link with you in case the content might help you. I'll just put the link here, and yeah. So talking about the big picture, this is the process looks like for the interview. The first step is the phone or Zoom, these days Zoom call screening by the HR or company stakeholder, and then there's a second round which is a on-site interview or a Zoom interview with the design manager, with just a basic overview of your work and all. And then there's a in-depth portfolio presentation. Sorry, someone just joined in. Yeah, admit. Yeah, and then there's the portfolio presentation, and then there's an optional step some companies do and some don't, is a product design critique. They will give you a app or website, or maybe they will give you some module of their own product and ask you to critique it. But it is done occasionally. And then this is the second last step, which is a design exercise. Now these days more company are doing whiteboarding. That is, it's a practice in which you are invited to the company or maybe a Zoom call, and you are given, let's say, 2 hours in which you do a exercise with them on the call. Or a design exercise is like 5, 7 day exercise. And then the last step is, they will evaluate your design exercise and whiteboarding, and they will do a discussion and then the offer discussion. So this is a big picture. I will walk through all the steps and share all the mistakes that I have learned, I have seen, and all the best practices. But the major focus will be on the whiteboarding exercise because that's the hardest to crack. Okay, so let's go. So again, the first call. So right now I'm assuming it's a inbound interview lead. That is, you have got the call already. There's one scenario in which you do cold reach. You reach out to company. That's a different scenario. That is not in the scope right now, but we can discuss it maybe after this presentation if you need. So right now, let's imagine you have already got a inbound lead from a recruiter HR, and so the first okay so the call takes place for 10 to 20 minutes, and one more person has joined. Yeah. So okay, so yeah, so we are talking about the inbound lead. um, Here, that is the HR gives you a call. The call takes place for 10 to 20 minutes, and it's done by the mostly HR person. And okay, so every step has a goal. The goal of this call is not to get into the detail of a portfolio or work process. That's not the goal right now. The goal is just to see the general match between you and the company. Normally in this call, HR give you a detail about the company, what they do, check about your past experience, alignment, etc. And I would highly recommend that you do a good background research about the company. Check out the website, if possible use the product for a few days. um, Check out their design team, and you can ask question about about the role. You can ask them how does the process look like, and you can clarify all the questions but not the technical ones because they can't tell you at this stage. um, and the HR will also ask you about why are you leaving and all those stuff. So be very prepared about why are you joining them. Let's say for example it's a healthcare company. You can strike a story that I'm very passionate about healthcare, maybe because I had health concerns in the past, etc. Or maybe it's a B2B SaaS company, and you can maybe link to your past experience. If you have worked a lot in the B2B company, you can tell them I have very strong experience, I have worked on this brand project. So be all prepared with these kind of questions. They are very important initially. And also clarify your questions. Do clarify questions. So again, all the interview process, I believe in short, is about telling a story. Make it as conversational as possible. you know uh, it's not just the other person interviewing you, it's also the you are also interviewing the person. So just that for the new people who have just joined, we are discussing the, yeah, interview steps. And right now we are on the first step, which is phone screening, or zoom screening by the recruiter. Yeah, so that's what we were discussing right now. And yeah, so make it conversational, because often people don't ask question, and it is a very the first stage is also a good place to find the red flags if there are any. Yeah. Okay, so this is a very basic step that doesn't require too much of honestly effort. And then the second step is the on-site or Zoom interview with the someone from design or product team. So in this step, they are also at this stage also, generally they're not interested in the portfolio in depth. They are interested in your design process, what kind of tools you are, and how are you as a person in terms of work collaboration. How are you to work with. And they would normally ask you question like, like tell me in the past what challenge you have faced and how you solved it. Maybe a question about a very common question is that about disagreement. Let's say you disagree with the business stakeholder, or maybe with the engineers, features can't be shipped, this design can't be shipped because of certain reason. Then how did you handle that? So handling the disagreement with the business engineer, these are very common and important questions. So be prepared with these questions, and feel free to put in the chat if you have any concerns or doubt about the questions. I'm happy to talk about this after the presentation. If you want me to give an answer how I would give it, I can also give it in the end. So any other questions you want to discuss, just put in the chat. Yeah. And they will also ask you question. So this question again, what is the design process? I mean, I would highly recommend that don't give a template based answer. Many people tell about double diamond, I do research, survey, wireframes, because this is not often done as a designer. Honestly, I can tell you, in companies there's no one size fit design process. Some projects require extensive research, and in some projects you don't have the bandwidth, time, and also money to do research. So you go directly to designing the high fidelity screens. So be very honest about the design process, because your honesty here about how you really work from your past experience will really help you. Don't give a template based theoretical answer. It's because it's a red flag when I hear these answers also in the interviews. Um, and um, and also telling about the project you're really proud of in the past. Bring all your enthusiasm, and explain, maybe give some metrics that this project was I'm proud of because of it has such metrics. The retention increase, the user gave this review. If you can bring some real reviews, and maybe put some real review screenshots from the Google Play Store or App Store, if your app is there, that would be amazing. Yeah, so these questions are generally, so they are right now just normally touching the initial layer right now. They're not digging deep, just asking you about the general questions about your design process, tools, how do you collaborate, and your overview about your work. And again, in this step, now you are talking with the person from designer product team. So you need to ask a lot of questions also, make it conversational, because it might happen that maybe, let's say, after maybe in the next round you feel like you don't want to work in this company because of certain reasons. So the early you clarify what they how is the company to work with, maybe you don't align with their design process, maybe you don't align with their working ethos or culture. So clarify the questions. You are also interviewing the company, it's not just one way. Yeah, so very important thing to do that. And then after this, if you were passed on, if you answer them very well, then you proceed to the third round, that is portfolio presentation. So I won't go in detail on this because it's a very extensive topic, but I am assuming right now that you have a portfolio with a few case studies. It's also very detailed about case studies. I mean, we can talk in detail afterwards. I mean, if you have any questions about portfolio case studies, put in the chat. We can discuss maybe afterwards. But overall, in these steps, what they're looking for, what they will ask is that they will ask you to just go through one of your case studies in depth, and explain it. So what are the common mistakes that happen in this process? One of them is that the candidate just go through each and every step in the case studies, and it can just sometimes get very boring and not engaging. So what you need to do in this step is that when you're presenting your case studies, I would say the prototype visuals works much better than the text. Just maybe start with a prototype, start with a working functional design. If it is even live, that's even better. As you are playing the prototype, then explain the step. And if you don't have prototype, then go to the visuals directly, and then explain what you did, what was the outcome. And then if they have time, if they are into, then go to all the research and theoretical stuff that's mentioned in the case studies. I would say, like, think like a movie. On the when you see a movie, we often see the end scenario, what happened in the last, and then they go back. So it's never linear. So you need to make it engaging, and how you make it engaging is that you're showing the glimpses of the end solution, and then you show maybe in between the impact, some reviews by users, customers, some data metrics, and then you show all the because nobody want to read a bunch of research, data, hypothesis, user research and all in just 10 minutes walkthrough. Yeah. So again, storytelling is the key here. You really need to master the storytelling, and it would be even better, it's a brownie point, if you can cover the edge cases. um, by edge cases, what I mean is that in all kind of product, there are some some features and all that are not very straightforward, which might require certain workaround. Let's say, and somebody joined again. No. There's a question. So I'm right now talking about the worldwide thing. It's not specific to any country. This is the very general process that is being done across the most major companies in US, India, and Europe. Yeah. Okay. Um, so yeah, in the edge cases. So if you show how you handle those edge cases with business, with engineers, that would really take you ahead. From that would distinguish you from the other people. Somebody joined. Mm, okay, so yeah. And then, then after this, if you are selected, move forward after this step, then the uh, Second last step is whiteboarding. So here are two scenarios. Either they will invite you for the whiteboarding exercise, or they will give you a design exercise. So I am right now noticing the trend is moving toward whiteboarding. I'll tell you why also. Design exercise takes 5-7 days, and nobody likes to work on the design exercise. Tell me if I'm wrong. You get a lot of exercises and you feel rejection, all those stuff, so just waste of time. On the other hand, whiteboarding is like you just need to spend 3 hours, so it's win-win on the both front, because the company also see how you collaborate. So okay, before starting on, so I will go in depth right now on the whiteboarding, because this is a game changer thing for the interviewer. Yeah. So first of all, before even talking about whiteboarding, what the company is looking for, what the design managers are looking for to in you in terms of whiteboarding. First, in the whiteboarding, of course, they can't see the visual designs UI, because you will be just making sketches. They are seeing how do you identify the problem, when you zoom in, when you zoom out on the problem. Second, how do you approach solution, and how do you generate idea? How many idea can you generate? Third, how do you work with a constraint? Let's say you have generated 10, 20 ideas, but are you thinking about the constraint, about the target audience, demographic, about the platform centric things, Android, iOS, or website, web apps, um, or constraint about the target audience. Let's say, for example, they are senior citizen. And then fourth, they are checking your collaboration. When you're doing the whiteboarding, are you discussing your work, how early you are sharing your work with the stakeholders? And most important, are you asking them the questions, and the right kind of questions are you asking them? And then lastly, again, in real world we don't have infinite time. So let's say the whiteboarding is for 2 hours. In the 2 hours, what things did you prioritize, and what things did you deprioritize? Because there are 10 different things you can do, what you do and what you didn't do. So how did you make the use of time right now? Yeah. So these are the 5 things they look for you when in a whiteboarding exercise. And again, before talking about how to do whiteboarding, let's say what not to do. Because if we know what not to do in a whiteboarding, it's much likely we will do what should we do, so first of all, in whiteboarding, when you are, let's say, either if even if you are on the on site, you are making some sketches on the whiteboard, or maybe you are doing it virtually over Zoom whiteboard, FitJam, etc. You need to make sure that whatever you are making or writing, it's clear. Sometimes your sketches are so chaotic that it's hard to understand. So at least be a little bit organized, and it's make it readable. And then second is that you need to engage with the stakeholders who are with you on the whiteboarding. Maybe it's a product manager, engineer, or it's a designer. You need to ask them questions, so they will know that you are a good collaborator. But also, you don't need to keep on talking. You need to talk, communicate, make some stuff, and then get the feedback. And when they give you some feedback, they also look for how do you take the feedback. Are you defensive or close about feedback, or you take feedback in a constructive way and then iterate on it, so this is a very key point. And yeah, and also in the whiteboarding, have a main first have a goal. Keep a big picture, in your mind when you're doing that. So a very main focus central goal. So it tells you that you know the mission and vision of the company. Okay, so cool. Now there are five ways you can do whiteboarding. I can guarantee you, if you follow these ways, you will really rock the whiteboarding exercise. So first of all, again, before starting any project, don't jump to any solutions and all. you have just got to know about some problem, you don't have much context, so ask a lot of questions, to get the context. Get the context about the goal of the design, details and context of challenge, get the details about, and then questions about the users and the target audience. What are the different segments and sub segments of the users? What are the gender, demographic, age of the user segment? What is the context of the user, where they are when they are using this product? Is it B2B, B2C, etc.? And some common use case. So you start by asking questions about the start with a broader level of goal and the challenge of this, and then about the target audience. After doing this, then I would recommend, don't again jump directly to sketching. Before that, you will save time. What you can do is that a good designer is by default a good writer. You need to um, maybe frame a story. You have now got the context from the stakeholders. Now, before making some sketches, just make some basic user flow, or just information architecture, some basic writing about that. So you have established a basic flow about the feature, and you can involve the stakeholder to get the feedback. So if maybe you are going off the goal, then they can bring you back, so it's helpful. And now, after this, you have got the context, and you have written some text and some story. Now you can start drawing the screen. So you need to identify the most major flow, because you can't prioritize all the things. So you need to prioritize what you're going to make. So then, based on the flow, choose the flow, the main core flow of the required product, and quickly make some basic wireframes. Just make it clear so that they can understand and read. And I would highly recommend that you add some annotations or label around the wireframes, so they get the context when they're doing. And then again, get the feedback and all those stuff when you're making the screens. If there's any feedback, then you can quickly iterate, so it will show that you can quickly iterate on the things. And then the last thing is that you need to summarize all those stuff, and then you can tell about, okay, this is the solution I chose, the reason I chose this, and there are 5 different other ways to do that. You don't need to make all the different solution and screens. You can just explain them. I have more ideas, but I chose this one because of certain reasons, and constraint. And yeah, and then ask them for the feedback, and then again engage in a constructive two-way discussion. So that will be very helpful. And yeah, and then after the whiteboarding, if you're selected, then there's a one more interview, option interview, that's done occasionally. That's just about the culture fit, and uh, you know and offer discussion. And I would highly recommend to talk about the equity and all those stuff if you're working at a startup. So I could go longer, but I want to take a pause right now and see if there are any questions and all. Yeah, and wait. And if you want to connect with me, so I'm just sharing with you my LinkedIn. If you want to connect and have some questions afterwards, yeah, I can share the slides with you. Not a problem. I'll share the slide. Just send me a DM over LinkedIn, and I just need to check the slides link sharing, and I'll share with you in that. No problem. Okay. Okay. So cool. Right now I haven't. So I discussed the whiteboarding and all. There's also design exercise, which is a home assignment. I can also discuss that if you want. Okay. And let me check if there's any question, and feel free to put any question right now. Yeah, just give me a second. Cool. The questions, let me start with this one. Regarding prototypes, what if they have internal tools for companies under NDA? Okay, so you were saying that if you have some product which is under NDA, I mean, okay, so I have seen that happen. If there is something under NDA, you can still show them in the video call, in your screen sharing. The NDA things you can't put out in the portfolio for the public, but you can still show them, on the call. That's completely fine. I have done it multiple times. I have seen people doing multiple times. That's completely fine. Yeah. But yeah, of course, not the publicly thing. Slide I'll share on my LinkedIn. So anyone who needs slide or something, just send me a message over LinkedIn. I'll just need to figure out the slide sharing and the link sharing. I'll do that. And what kind of topics do they pick for whiteboard challenge? Uh, okay, so often I've seen that the topics are generally around the company product. So that's why I highly encourage you, whenever you are applying for a job, it's very helpful to do a in-depth research, background research about the company and use the product. So in case you happen to come at the whiteboard stage, you already have a lot of context about the company. It will just take a few hours to do research. And they also do generic stuff, but I in my experience it's more common to do around their product. Yeah. Yeah, questions. What kind of portfolio was? Hmm. So the question about portfolio is little broad. Okay. First of all, I mean, so Neha, if you want to maybe, let me check the second question also. Question from design exercise. Yeah, I get it. I mean, it really sucks, that after you do the design exercise for 7 days and all, they don't get back to you. That's why whiteboarding is mostly adopted. And also, I would highly recommend all of you here in your design interview. I mean, you can maybe ask them that when the time comes, that tell them that can I maybe choose whiteboarding instead of design exercise. And believe it or not, a lot of companies are open to that. A lot of companies will accept that proposal and they will do a whiteboarding. And because it's not it doesn't take too much of bandwidth, right? So Neha, what kind of portfolio? So it depends on what you are. Okay. So in general, the just there are two main elements in the design portfolio. One is that is your work. Second is about you. That's all. You can also put more things like your side projects, your art and all, but that's all secondary. And when it comes to your work, you just need to have at least two case studies. That's all. And I don't know exactly what kind of companies are you looking for, but let me assume, let's say you are looking for a product design role, the whole end-to-end role. So you need to have in your case studies, what you need to have is that uh, you need to have the main thing is that, okay, so when I also get a lot of portfolios, and what happens is that in the portfolios, when I start to read, I can the design manager and all, they just spend few minutes, 3 2 3 minutes on a portfolio. So when you are making the portfolio, think about that someone is going to spend 2 3 minutes on your portfolio, because people get hundreds of portfolio when they're hiring. So you need to make your portfolio highly visual. Okay. And when someone opens your case study, uh, I would highly recommend, if maybe you can put something like a prototype initially. So that would give me big why prototype will tell me about your visual design, that how you actually design screens. Do you know interactions? How do your styling about typography, layout and all. And then after a prototype, maybe if you can put some, maybe let's say also I'm seeing this thing, a video. If you can put a loom video, maybe, or any kind of video, just doing a walk through the portfolio, that will be helpful. But don't put a lot of text on the case studies. It's very hard to read the text, and uh, yeah. uh, and there are um, and uh, Also in the about also apart from the work, the second thing about you section in the portfolio, I think that's also a place where you can tell a story about yourself, and you can show yourself as an interesting person. Maybe if you have done some um, maybe if you have done some interesting projects in the past, or some side projects, you can showcase them. So that's also a nice way to demonstrate about you. But in general, these are the basic tips of the portfolio that you need to keep on mind. But it's a very broad and very detailed thing, about the portfolio. We can discuss more afterwards if you like, maybe. um, yeah. Wait. Radhika, how do we reach out to big companies? Okay, okay, it's not very hard actually. So this is the one tip I'm going to give you, and it has worked 80% of time. And don't okay. First of all, when you are reaching out, when you're doing a cold reach out or outbound reaching to the companies, you need to think like this. Let's say your company is your target audience, your company is your user. So what do you do? Like, let's say you need to approach this thing as a design project. Let's say I want to reach a company called, let's say, um, maybe let's say Make My Trip. I want to reach them. So I will initially, what you do, that you need to study the Make My Trip in depth. uh, Download the Make My Trip app, use the app for a few days or a week or two, take notes, and then maybe take a very small section, a small module. Let's say they have a home booking section. Take that section and just do a little bit of redesign and make some notes. So if you do that, it's like adding an instant value. You use the product for a few days or a week or two, and then you do some research and make some improvement based out of your based out of your own experience. And then you send out those improvements to the Make My Trip design people, preferably the design manager, design head, etc. And people will reach out, people will reply, because you are not asking for something. And also, never, never, never sell on the first conversation. Never sell. When you reach out to a company, never ask, I want to get a job or something like that. First, add the value, because, so think about that. How many messages you receive on your LinkedIn and all, for spam and people asking things, and how many messages do you reply to? Very rare, I think, right? Because everybody is asking for something on the internet. But let's say, if you are not asking, but if you are adding a value, let's say for the Make My Trip, you did a redesign and then you send the improvements redesign. Maybe it can be a simple, a Google Doc. You don't need to make an extensive case study initially. If you send that to the Make My Trip designers or maybe product managers, and just tell them, hey, they made this improvement, let me know, I would love to know your view and all those stuff. Or yeah, or maybe you can also put it on the public in the LinkedIn and just tag them. Surprisingly, people will reply, and then when they reply, then you can discuss that you would like to work and all those stuff. So never sell in the first conversation, and before asking, add some value. This has worked. There are also other method in which you can just reach out over LinkedIn and just email and all those stuff, but the conversion rates are very less in that manner. Yeah, I hope this helps. Okay, the best way to present a portfolio. Mm, the best way to present a portfolio. I mean, it's fine. Behance is fine. It's not a problem. But how you present it, that's the main difference. You can use Behance or a Notion or Google Doc also. But the case study you have made, the content inside this and how you present it, that makes the main difference. So don't worry about the tools and all those stuff. If you have a good visual design, if you can tell a good story, that's all that matters. um okay. So, I can make a website and all the shortlist will work. Yeah. Yeah, that's fine. You can do that. That's fine. But you just need to write two things: work and your introduction about you. That's all. And when you're talking about your introduction about you, here you need to tell a story about yourself. That maybe tell how you became a designer. Why you, let's say maybe let's say you used to do painting, drawings in the past. Or maybe you like to observe people, their behavior. So if you can just connect these dots in your story, in your about you section, that would be awesome. And about your work, so in terms of work, you need to present. I would recommend also put the work which is live. If you have worked in the past and you have some live work, that would be awesome. Even if you don't have live work, what you can do is that, I mean, any of you, if you need some case studies and project for your portfolio, I would highly recommend, rather than taking Instagram or other apps to do a redesign. Instead, you can maybe find a, let's say, I mean, I believe everyone is passionate about a social cause. I mean, I personally love dog, cats, animals. So if I wanted to make some case study when I was starting out 10 years back, what I would do is that I would try to find a NGO, maybe a non-profit organization who is doing a work in the social cause I believe in, and I would reach out to them. I would talk to them, take notes, approach it as a real life project, and then make a case study out of them. Let's say there's an NGO called Friendicos. I would maybe redesign their website in the and I mean, I would do it for free also, because it will help me in the fast. And the company and the NGO will be also will be happy to participate, because they are getting the free redesign, right? Who doesn't like free work? So, but at the end, you will also get a real life project. So do that. That's very helpful. And Radhika, as a graphic designer, so I don't know, maybe as a you want to go into product design, you are asking, or but in general, as a graphic designer, you can add value. um, so the with the graphic design, you have the power of visuals. Lot of designers are so poor with the visual design. And also, this is one thing, I mean, for all of you, I mean, visual design is so much underrated. People make case studies which are hard to read, so long, so text template based, survey and all those stuff. And then you go at the end, you will see poor typography, poor layout, poor stuff. So I would recommend every one of you, maybe Radhika, you have this advantage because you are a graphic designer. You have a good design sense, I assume, about colors, typography, layout, and all those stuff. But I would recommend every one of you to really improve to work on the visual design, because believe me, working on the visual design will really take you very, very far. I mean, I also made a guide on the visual design, so I'll share with you in the chat. Uh, I made this guide because I thought there aren't any practical resources on the visual design, so you can use it if you want on the visual design. Yeah. So, and yeah, right, sort of UI, how important have so sort of it is important, of course. So right now the market is not great. I would say it's good to be a end-to-end designer. And honestly, research methods doesn't take much it's not very hard to learn them. You can just learn in few weeks. There are a lot of resources on the internet. So um, and I would say, I would say, don't think like UI or UX like that. Think like UX and UI are the same side of the coin. If you do a lot of research, but the end product is output is not great, it doesn't matter. Forget your research. Or let's say, uh, so you need to have think from the end to end perspective, from starting the research to the end design. So think like, see it as a product designer, not as a UI designer. And yeah, I mean, user research is very, very also wide if you go in depth. But generally saying, you can learn the basic research. It's just about being close to user. If you are talking to your user in the company, or if you can't talk to them, let's say for example, again, you are working at Meet My Trip, and you still have the access to the Make My Trip App Store and the Play Store. So you can read the reviews of the users on the App Store, Play Store, and find the pain points, there. Or maybe you can go to your customer service office at the Make My Trip and tell and ask them that what are the main complaints coming from the users. So user research doesn't need to be really, something very glamorous. You're going on the field and on villages. You don't need to do that. It's also very simple, and just use a common sense. That's completely fine. But what's underrated is that UI design, because again, if you can't ship the end product with a finished detail, it doesn't matter. Even if you are the best you know researcher. So you need to have the end output ready, the end design. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's all. If you have more questions, then let me know. Awesome, great. And yeah, I'm happy. And feel free to just before ending the call, if you can just switch on your camera, I would love to see you. Yeah. Okay, so cool. I had a great time here with all of you. So if you have any doubt, concerns, just reach out to. Okay, yeah. Neeraj. Hi, Neeraj.
Hi, Shivam. Thank you so much for the session.
Hi.
For the presentation, we will reach out to you on LinkedIn.
Yeah, that will be fine.
Sure. I just had one point. Like you were mentioning that if, let's say, we redesign an app for a particular company, won't it also like hurt their egos, like without having the context of the whole project? We just redesigned it. So wouldn't it also backfire?
Yeah. So I mean, first of all, you don't have to redesign the whole app. That will be a a gigantic project. It's a whole long
Yeah.
thing. You can just from the app maybe just take a tiny module. Some That's a small flow. Let's say, for example, again in the Airbnb app also, maybe flow for when you are as a host, when I'm putting my home in the Airbnb, that can be one flow. And it doesn't, so it's all about messaging. If you maybe redesign the app, and for the context, you can maybe read the reviews on app stores or Play Store to figure out the pain points, or maybe on the Google and all those stuff, you can read the complaints. And when you do the redesign and send them to the company, so it's about communication and messaging. If you send them in a way that I love your product and all those stuff, and out of my love for a product, for a passion for this, and with my design knowledge, I just wanted to do this thing. I just did it from my own perspective as a passion project, and I would love to know your feedback and thoughts. You can just tell them. Yeah, it's just about messaging. So if you use messaging in the right way, which is polite and straightforward, nobody's going to hurt. But if you tell them that your app sucks, and did a redesign, then yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fair, makes sense.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah. Cool. So I think that's all. Right now we have. I don't see any more questions. Okay, great. So all the best, and yeah, great. Bye bye.
Looking further for more group sessions from your side, Shivam. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you. Yeah. Welcome.
Bye.